Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the PCS English broadcast here. Week 2, day number 2. Of course, sponsored by CTBC Bank and Caliber. Thank you again to Riot Games, Carry Live Co. and Garena, the PCS League operation in full production. As we welcome you back, I want to let you know that we're on to the last game here of the night. My name is Asterix. I'm joined by Mr. Clement K. Chu. And sir, our last game is PSG TALON versus FAK Esports. I asked you before we went to a break, who is Frank? And you've got to now tell me.
So Frank apparently is just the owner of the organization. That's the extent of what I know about him. His name is Frank, and if Edward Gaming could win Worlds, so can Frank.
Okay, well, look, I was going to say EDG, a great example of a name base, going fast. So FAK Esports 1-3 right now in the league, Clement. I want you to give me a bit of a rundown because their only win was against Impunity, but they've had a pretty hard start of schedule with CFO, DCG, and J-Team opening up their PCS split.
Yeah, I just got a little bit of a spike from your microphone. I'm not sure if it's going broadcast, but talking about FAK Esports a little bit more, they are a team that is very much focused on Eminem. He was the understudy for under Unified for quite a while, so now he's kind of going up against the Master and proving his own salt. Other than the bot lane, we haven't really seen a lot of action. Kurt has just been playing Gragas, and the only time he didn't play Gragas, he played a completely failed Smite top lane that I would wish that I could forget. It was not a very pretty picture. So it's still kind of an enigma onto what Frank can really do here. I feel like they will be a middle-of-the-road team with not a lot of surprises coming down the line and just mainly trying to build up Eminem. On the flip side, however, I feel like this is PSG's actually first real test against the middle portion of the league. Their previous games, they only they had a stint going up against Sem9, Impunity, and Hurricane Gaming, and I don't think those games really tell us a whole lot. Sure, they still have great performances from Hanabi, not exactly dominating lane performances, but you can tell from their macro and from their experience, they will just run over the bottom half of the league. Now when they have actual lane opponents to go up against, it's really anyone's guess what is going to happen here.
Well, first, FAK Esports, let's have a quick chat here. You talked about it before, Kurt, Hollow, Pretender, Eminem, and Rebirth. When you and I were going into today, you mentioned a lot that this team is kind of like J-Team in the sense that we know they're going to be setting up towards their 80 carry. It is going to be about that one-track mindset that Eminem needs to be the direction.
And a lot of teams swapping out their supports today. We do have Rebirth this time, so we'll see if the engage here is a little bit better. I feel like FAK Esports, they can hold the early mid game steady, but when it comes to critical engages, they have been lacking a little bit of decisiveness. So maybe Rebirth will showcase that for the league. On the other side, PSG TALON, kind of the same names across the board outside of River and Maple, now swapped in by Juhan and Bay, coming in from the Nongshim Challengers.
Yeah, a bit of time spent from Bay in the main league in the LCK as well. So a lot of LCK fans should know this person. But I think more importantly, what we've seen out of Juhan and Bay, Clement, another thing you're saying is that this duo is not as strong. Some of the weak elements right now, PSG TALON making sense since we have the other three cores staying the same.
Yeah, it's hard to say not as strong. They just don't seem to have the same play style where you see Juhan and Bay kind of dominating the early mid game. I think that was it's kind of the contrast between what you got from River and Maple, where their play style was much more active, I would say. On the meantime, for Bay, he plays a lot more of the Rise, and we did see some Syndra solo kills, but it was against M9, so we're not really sure where he's going to rank at the end of the standing. And this is a really interesting matchup because Pretender was previously Kana. He is a PSG bench player on loan to FAK Esports. So, a lot of chips riding here on Pretender. If he can prove his worth over Bay, then you know what? Maybe Summer Split he gets to go back.
I mean, it is funny because if you go into League PD, you still see that Pretender's on the roster, but a really good point raised. Yeah, on loan at the moment. So PSG TALON versus PSG TALON apparently is going to be happening in this final game of the night. I think importantly enough as well, Pretender is someone who might not have the stats to show it, but we know he's a big damage source at the moment. So I'm excited for this, Clement. FAK Esports on blue, PSG on red. What do you want to see in bans out of these teams?
So for me, I think in the stylistic matchup, the worst part of this matchup for Frank is actually going to come from Hanabi. He's been loving this matchup meta. He's been playing a lot of fighters. He's been playing the Tryndamere. So I do expect a lot of bans to be going Hanabi's way. And this time around, he does have that counter pick as the red side too. And usually in the meta, I think the red side is much more constricted. We do see the Zeri just has to go. A lot of teams have been banning Renekton. I don't think Renekton is a necessary ban against Frank Esports, so I do think something like a Victor or something could be taken off by PSG, you know, just to make sure they don't get such a good pool for Pretender to potentially bully out Bay.
Okay, well, Clement, we get a Jace coming through against Hanabi. Talked about playing fighters. Azaria must ban on the red side, we all know. And you said they don't really need to look at things like the Renekton. I'll be curious because tonight we've seen in the past couple of games, it's just been that Xin Zhao first pick. Jungle coming as a priority in blue side rotation 1.
Yeah, Gwen is interesting. I'm not sure if Kurt actually plays that. Kurt seems to be sort of your... even compared to Hanabi, he seems to be more of a sandbag player. Just, you know, he exists in the top lane to absorb damage and make sure resources get transferred to his bot lane. So Gwen's an interesting pick here. Holo for me, again, not a kind of carry player. He's much more utility focused. Not even going to go for the Xin Zhao, just focusing in onto the team fight, which I think Hecarim does have a little bit more impact in that place. For PSG, they get their pick of the litter if they want to go Jinx, if they want to go Aphelios, and I do expect Hanabi to get a much later pick into the draft.
Okay, again, putting that priority on things like the fighters. He's played a unique champion across the board in his top lane. The Aphelios going to be the third time picked up here for Unified. And now looking for a jungle to pair with it. Now for Juhan, 2 Xin, 1 Lee, and 1 on the Viego here, Clement. So feels like the Lee Sin just pairs in nicely with what's strong in the meta.
Yeah, Lee Sin, you know, Rashi loves his champion. We have a lot of Lee Sin players in the league. Juhan's first Lee Sin game was, yeah, I think mechanically wise, it wasn't that impressive, but you know, maybe he gets a couple more tries on it. I do want to see Bay go into an aggressive matchup this time against Holo and Pretender and throw it down against his potential rival for the slot. So I do hope we get something aggressive from Bay this time.
Something nice and aggressive. Jinx in the bottom lane alongside the Leona. Okay, strong 2v2 coming through here. Clement, I feel like a Thresh for Kaiwing. Surely that's not too much to ask.
Yeah, I think something defensive is definitely what PSG have in mind here. Again, this is something new for PSG. They're not really known for playing Enchanter supports. We got a lot of interesting Kaiwing Yuumi plays, but I wouldn't even call his Yuumi a defensive support the way he played it with the Twisted Fate.
Oh, Braum.
So, Braum is another one. This one is a much rarer option to see a Braum here. You know, in the straight up 2v2 trades, he doesn't actually come out ahead because there's much more resistances that are focused onto the Leona herself. So Leona actually wins a lot of these trades, but we'll see what they want to do with this Braum. To me, it does signal that they're maybe trying to pair him up with a more roaming mid laner, so they can use the concussive blows to impact skirmishes a little bit more. That's usually how you would see a Braum being picked over a Thresh.
Okay. Well, interesting pick nevertheless here for the support of PSG. Orianna, the first ban away, and we can see that, you know, pairing up with the Hecarim is so easy. So I like this ban from PSG. You get a response there with a mid lane that could actually partner up well with the Braum. So we're really just targeting Pretender and Bay, the 2 mid laners that we talked about running before pick and ban.
Yeah, I think this battle, it's basically 2 people in the ring and all the rest of your 8 players are just standing there watching. Pretender does have a pretty standard champion pool. We have seen a lot of Victor from him. And in this setup, I do expect just another mage. They are clearly going for more of a team fight setup, trying to make sure Eminem gets all of that damage in. In the meantime, for Kurt, he has to blind pick something, and if we know anything about Kurt, it's probably Gragas. You know what's coming. It's the Graggy boy. You get that disengaged potential. You get that reset on the team fight. It's most likely the option here, and that just leaves, you know, the last pick for Pretender here. So PSG, y'all know the mid lane's coming. Pretender is probably going to get a counter pick, and we'll see what he gets to do with it.
red side now, coming out of the second ban phase with the Nah going down the wing. For Hanabi, Clement, is this just like, well, we get safe mid laner now here, Pretender with the counter pick, as you talked about, and then Hanabi, it doesn't have many top laners left. Like, there's actually been the Jace, even the Rise, if you want to talk about Flex, Graves, Nah, Camille's taken away, Gwen's taken away. What's left?
That's a very interesting question. You know, we haven't really gotten to see much of Hanabi's champion pool, but he could play picks that I think are a little bit more outside the usual purview. He could go for the Jax, especially if the Tryndamere is getting locked in here. This would be pretty peculiar. Rumble is also a pick we have seen a little bit crop up in the top lane. I'm not a huge fan of it. Veigar into the mid and Tryndamere into the top, and now it's Hanabi's chance to answer. We did see him pick GP into it against Beyond Gaming, but I don't think it was a worthwhile attempt. I'd rather just see him fight fire with fire and try to go with a no way, come on, Hanabi, come on.
I mean, the Gragas, you know, we've seen like old Hanabi style with the Ornn. Gragas would just fit into it, wouldn't it?
I don't want to see him out Kurt the Kurt. That's just
Clement.
That's just so depressing.
It is a bit sad. So how does PSG's comp operate? Because we've got a lot of defense here. Gragas, Brom, even Victor to create space.
This is kind of your new taste of PSG. This is what I expect them to run most of the time. They do have a very slow tempo overall. Don't get fooled by the game time. That's because they played the bottom 3 teams, so they won really quickly. But if you actually watch their game against Beyond Gaming or even Impunity, I felt like they are a team that is much more focused on the 5v5 this split. And that is not something that they used to play. There's a lot of adjustments coming in the way, especially for someone like Highwing, who's used to super aggressive positioning on the map. So it's definitely a learning curve for them. And, you know, it's early in the split. They're trying to hone down on this identity of theirs. So I think it's fine what they've drafted here. But in terms of what we usually expect, in terms of what I want to see, doesn't really hit the itch.
I'm sorry, man. You can't win, can you? Especially when all the champion pool gets banned out. Finishing on a Gragas, Victor in the same game. Hopefully no one goes to bed. More importantly, where we're looking at PSG finishing this one off against FAK Esports. Just a quick reminder. I've been liking to say this today. FAK Esports 1-3 at the moment. They're sitting about 7th in the league. There's a bit of an update because Hurricane Gaming got their first win, but FAK have only found their win against Impunity at the start of the split. It'll be a big piece of momentum if they can find something against PSG, but more importantly, it'll be so big to deny PSG their 4-1 transition up, continuing towards the top of the league. Clement, I see a Veigar, I see a Tryndamere. If you get that baby cage down, people from PSG are going to die.
That is true, but I doubt anyone's going to be in range. Like, this is PSG. They're just trying to play. Again, this is kind of a footsies, kite back type of composition. They have the Brom. They have the Gragas reset. They're going to play for FAK to catch up to them. And I think what FAK Esports is going to do on their end is they're going to turn towards some avenues they haven't explored. That we're looking at Kurt as a solo top laner trying to split push. And we're also looking at this Pretender with the usual Predator or Veigar to see if he can impact the early game. A very different look from FAK Esports. They were a very slow team, but I think in this setup, we could be seeing different sparks flying that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, which is a good sign of adaptation, especially since, you know, I didn't realize 6-week split here for the PCS, meaning we're approaching the halfway point like we are in the LPL, like we are in other leagues as well. We're kind of getting on with meta's changing. We're getting closer towards those playoffs and MSI. Adaptation is something so under-talked about. So running into this game, we'll see if FAK Esports can play through it. Clement, the Predator you mentioned, I love this on Veigar, just running people down and pressing E. Abusive, annoying, and most importantly, a great way to get first blood.
Yeah, I just think they should nerf Event Horizon. There's no reason that a crowd control ability that is so consistent and lasts for 3 seconds. Like, I just feel like it's mind-baffling that cage lasts.
And it's AoE. It's AoE. It's not like Morgana, it's a skill shot. It's literally a circle.
I mean, sure, you can only get stunned once, but it stays there for so long on the map, and you can stun the entire team. It's really the most broken ability. It doesn't even have that long of a setup time either, so, if you can target the event horizon correctly, you can just, like, flash in and insta-stun people, too. So, it's a very powerful pick, and we have seen, some different builds come out here and there. From the Vigar. We had the Seraph's build, just stack on stack for those baleful strikes there, too. A very good scaling champion in its own right, extremely deadly. But in this situation, I just feel like for Frank Esports, they're probably going for a 4-1 setup. So the event horizon most of the time is not going to be for engage. It's actually just there to make sure that PSG can't make use of a wave. You drop the event horizon, you clear the wave, and then you just buy more time for Tryndamere to scale against the Gragas. I think that's the game plan.
Clement, in the LPL, we have recently had a Vega, I believe it was Angel on Weibo Gaming, who built Shirelia's first item with Predator. So, along with a Hecarim on the same team, he pressed the button with Predator on his boots and was faster than the horse. I kid you not. So, I don't know if we're going to get that this time around, but it's definitely something that feels like a lot of fun to play, and it kind of shows the adaptation and builds that we're seeing out of this new mid lane champion that's had a lot of presence in 12.2 and 12.3 across the world.
I gotta say, that just sounds like overkill to me.
It's not, though. It was so good. The whole team just sprinted them down. Just 1,000 movement speed off SOFM. It was perfect.
Yeah. I don't know the entire composition, but I would be very surprised if you see that in this comp. Like, I don't think Frank Esports can pull a rundown comp against Braum, Chaos Storm, Gragas, at least said.
They weren't versing a Braum.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the strategy for Vigar, but hey, I'm not that tuned in onto Vigar builds just yet. It's very new. We got Nesty on one game of it, and maybe we're going to learn more together.
Yeah, maybe we will. We'll watch the build path this game, folks. Remembering again that for Frank Esports, Clement's already talked about it here, but I want to kind of go on to the other side of PSG and talk a little bit about this early jungle pathing, because here in the early game, Juhan hasn't been spotted out. It was Hollow who's actually walked over a couple of wards, and PSG are doing their due diligence to kind of cover the lanes in this early stage, kind of making sure that Bay's not getting hit hard, that Pretender's not getting a free stun, and that everything's going as the game's planned out to be.
Yeah, I really don't expect much out of this early game. Maybe some ganks onto Vigar, but he's usually going to go back to base and get boots really early on.
Hello. Follow in a bit of trouble. The smite comes down, the thumbs in the air. Sad B from Juhan, and now this is schoolyard bullying. A camp left for him as well.
Yeah, really good tracking being done right here. He had pinpoint accuracy. I think he might have spotted the Hecarim as the pink ward was dropped onto his own red side, but overall Juhan with a great punish, some good flashy mechanics out here, and that's kind of the problem with Hecarim. He is a teamfight beast. I think he's probably the best teamfight jungler, but early game will get bullied out by the likes of the Xin Zhao and the Lee Sins.
Yeah, as you can see already, a bit of a CS advantage is going to build up in the jungle now. Hollow can go back to his bottom side camps, but Juhan has so many options. Krug spawning, Wolves are there, Gromp's there, and an early dragon pivoting as well. That's going to be a Chemtech dragon. So, excuse me, Hextech. Chemtech, thankfully disabled as it should have been years ago. Or it shouldn't have even, brought itself into existence. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm so glad that stopped.
Yeah, zombie mechanic is not exactly a fun one here. Hanabi trying to bully out Kurt a little bit by hitting this level 6 first.
True.
Again, I just don't see much happening in this early game. I feel like both sides have incentives to drag this one out. PSG with a more 5v5 teamfight focus, and for Frank Esports, their best play is probably to get a Herald drop onto top lane, accelerate Kurt into an early hole breaker, and just play the game from there. I think they're more going for a 4-1 setup.
Okay. Well, you've told me a couple of times now that I don't need to expect anything in the early games. I'll sit here and I'll wait, and I'll look forward to the 4-1. At the very least, yeah, it's a little bit slower. I guess I'll track Pretender's build a little bit closer. Dragon's going to be done. And his dragon goes down.
Ooh. So we do have the Seraph's build coming out as well.
We do.
Now, we did have the Everfrost and not the double stack, but in a slow game like this one, I think it makes a lot of sense. Excuse me, for Pretender.
Are you okay, Clement? It's all right. Don't worry about it, man.
I got some fried chicken in my throat. That's all. But I should be back to normal now.
Okay, man, that's all right. Good little scuttle take from Hollow. Actually getting some priority back in his jungle back. 10 CS down, by the way. Not the only CS advantage to talk about. Look towards mid. Pretender, 5-6 CS leading the charge as he's getting pushed into the turret. Bay doing a pretty good job while Juhan's still stuck in the jungle. It is literally jungle v jungle, but Kurt's going to come in and try and do something about it. Bay on the wing as well, but Pretender now moving in. Nothing in the early game, Clement. You know what?
Everything.
There's something. Patience going to reset. Smite goes down. Level 6 now hit by Juhan. Hollow has to watch while Pretender has popped the Predator once again. And Frank Esports, Clement, they're down 300 gold just off some simple jungle plays.
Yeah, good pressure coming in from Juhan, and he actually was level 6 before the invade happened, so it's a very measured play here as well. I think they have the burst damage to deal with the Tryndamere, and Kurt has to play this super safe. We also have Kaiwing roaming towards the mid lane, so covering all of their bases at the same time. And this is actually just beautiful play coming in from PSG, just getting whatever small leads they have. And once again, we do see Holo kind of being bullied out. Holo has been known to be very utility focused. Teams have really just tried to bully him wherever he is. We've seen this in multiple of Frank Esports games. And I don't really see Frank being able to contest this. Maybe a catch-up Kaiwing.
Well, Rebirth is flashing in, missed Venom's Blade onto the top laner. Kick's gone away, Kurt's out of there, Hollow jumps in as well. This is disjointed from Frank Esports, but Bay's run out of mana. He's going to have to flash out of the wing as the explosive cars kind of almost trolls the mid laner of PSG. But they get out, they get the Herald, and that's what they came for.
Frank, you had one job. Woo! You had one job, just kill Kaiwing. I don't know what's up with the split focus right there. You know, Leona goes in, Rebirth misses everything, and honestly, Kaiwing should have been dead. He face checked straight into a brush. There was plenty of crowd control, but he gets away because I think Frank got greedy. They just wanted more kills than they really needed. Like, if they just snowballed that Kaiwing kill correctly, you know, they could have delayed the Herald backs a little bit. It would have been a pretty sizable tempo swing. But, you know, looking at the map right now, this is prime position for PSG. They're coming onto the map fresh. And look at that vision control. This is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, the whole map is red and has been for the past couple of minutes. As this game started out, this is why Juhan's had so much control in Hollow's jungle. Each step of the way, tracking where this Hecarim is. I mean, you look at both riversides. Only Frank have a couple of wards up towards that top side. There's one bot, but really nothing to speak of where every move Hollow makes is continuously being monitored. So at this point, Juhan continues to lead the jungle play. PSG TALON with a 700 gold lead. And Clement, you know, this is what good jungling is. I think we've seen this a couple of bits today where Vision has made games.
It definitely has. He has all of the entrances into River completely covered. Holo can't find a gank. If he wants to do so, he has to take a very inefficient path and do a lane gank. I think the only place that you're really expecting something to happen probably is the top lane right here. Kurt does need to stay ahead of this Gragas and kind of pressure him a little bit more. I'm kind of surprised that he's down up to 20 CS here. In the meantime, NMN, ooh.
Yeah, he's going to get tagged out a little bit. Unified with a lot of shurikens under his belt. As he clears away the wave, the flash comes in with the Tempest. Juhan kicks him against the wall. Beautiful ulti from Kaiwing, but they can't kill Eminem. Rebirth has slowed it down. They want to kill to get out of this, and the Sonic Wave will secure. Juhan makes his move, and First Blood belongs to PSG.
Yeah, absolutely huge trading from Unified, taking Eminem down to below half HP without any hope. Any help. That was just 1v1. And
any
they
hope
get
is
to
right.
That's also true. I just feel like it's so ridiculous that we've seen like Aphelios's kill tank junglers underneath their own tower without going into tower range. Like, that just feels wrong to me as an AD carry. But hey, we live in Season 12, and that's kind of the way the world works. So first tower over towards Unified. That's, you know, just Moonlight Vigil punish, stacking up the crescendos, very easily done. Crescendums, I think. Eminem trying to kite, but chooses the wrong way. Now we have a big skirmish in the mid.
Oh, we do. Look at that Chaos Storm value as well on the 3 people. Is it a Chaos Storm? Not too sure. We're still looking at the replay on our main screen. No, Bay held on to it, but it's in front of the Dragon spawning. This will be the second one for PSG, Clement. I want to point out, after that last play, PSG got 3,000 gold ahead. They're already ahead by about 600, but it was first blood. It was first turret blood. It was all the plates over to Unified. Suddenly, Frank Esports are way behind, and they're exposing themselves to another turret through the mid lane. Juhan dodging away after the event horizon finds its mark. And control given over all for this Dragon is still going to be hard for Frank Esports to cope with.
I'm a little bit baffled at what happened in that play, but Holo used his ultimate. Everyone else held on to theirs, and for some reason, they gave over basically the entire top lane tower for a Drake. It's definitely not worth it in my book, and you see...
In everyone's book, Clement. That's a lot of gold for not much as a return.
Yeah, after this swap, they will get much of it back on the... actually only 1 turret plate back, so... That was kind of baffling. I feel like, you know, Frank kind of just... faltering on their macro play overall. They had Kurt into a 5v5. They didn't find any pick. And now onto the bot lane, you know, Kurt only gets 2 plates back for a full tower. That's... I think PSG are very happy with that trade.
Yeah, they definitely are. PSG have now moved ahead by 4,500 gold at 13 minutes in the game. That's a huge gold lead off of 1 kill, but mainly macro. And Clement, as we've been watching, all the gold being funneled into Unified, you know, once again, a core part of this team, Unified and Kaiwing, longest standing duo in that bottom lane, 5 years just about. I'm not sure exactly on the dates, but we're heading to that point. The core member is fed once again and has picked up 10 pieces of turret plating in total.
Oh, that is absolutely ridiculous to have that much gold funnel onto the Aphelios. In the meantime, I'm also going to lose my mind if Hanabi somehow gets a 50 CS lead over Tryndamere.
Tryndamere, yeah.
Which might be happening. I don't know what happened. I feel like just some of the decisions on where to be from Kurt have been kind of weird, honestly. So yeah, it's so odd to see Hanabi like just standing behind his own minion. Like, he can't really kill Kurt, but he's still up by that much CS, which is absolutely mind-boggling. Yeah, sure, some of it did come from Juhan's early pressure, but it's still quite a feat in itself, and he does have the teleport advantage for PSG as they start this Herald as well.
Well, as Herald gets started, it's Pretender who burns the TP first, so Hanabi able to join, as you mentioned before. He's going to be receiving the wave while Kurt starts walking up. For now, River is cleared out of the vision that was so well prioritized by PSG, but this one control ward holding true as Unified walks on out. Pings are there. They're going to get sandwiched. Where Kurt is pretty dangerous right now, but PSG pull back, see him walking towards them, and Herald priority still over to Frank Esports, but Juhan away from the event horizon. Holo's running on in. Kurt still there. It's a member's disadvantage. PSG don't have their mid laner who now joins the fray, but Juhan goes on down, and Hanabi teleports in. Better late than never, but for Frank Esports, they get the target they're after.
Yeah, I actually think that's a bit of a misplay from PSG there. If I was PSG, I wouldn't even bother teleporting. I'd just keep on pushing. Sure. Like, the full team's there anyway.
Kurt has to pop the ulti, almost taken down by Unified. At the very least, Clement, after the play goes sour, PSG should be able to threaten for this mid lane turret with 4 members.
Yeah, I just feel like PSG, you know, they did the damage that they wanted to, and, you know, they held on to most of their ultimates. There's not a lot of combat power coming in from Frank after that play. So, even though it was a kill, it's kind of a Pyrrhic victory, and honestly, I feel like PSG could have gotten even more out of that play. You know, Tryndamere's already rotated top, and if I was an Abi, I just push until someone has to respawn and then teleport top, or we still have a kind of a situation where Frank aren't even in that good of a spot. So, kind of an interesting play from both sides. I feel like for Frank, even though they got the pick, it was very difficult to secure a non-critical member. Who they really need to stop at this point is Unified. He's just getting way too fed, way too much gold. Getting Juhan is a little bit too mobile with Gore Drinker, survived a little bit too long, and once you burn most of Pretender's cooldowns, it does open you up to retaliation.
Yeah, those ultis down from the solo laners is something that I've been thinking, Clement, a very big deal. Undying Rage, Primordial Burst, I believe it's called. Absolute silly ability too. But once they're down, you feel like options open up a little bit as well. Can Kaiwing put up the door and block a target who's about to get ulted by Vega, or does it go past the door, Clement?
Sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it stops on the door. Like, it is just a normal projectile. There's nothing special about it, so it should still work the normal way.
We might get an answer at least soon as well. Kaiwing does put up the door. Hollow going to the back line onto Unified, who flashes away. Event Horizon there. It is a fight, but now that Pretender has put down the cage, PSG get a bit more space. It's in front of this dragon. One apiece already picked up, and Frank Esports, they set a lot for that. Hollow's ulti being down weighs a lot.
And this is the problem with Frank Esports Engage. Sure, it looks really flashy, but if you look at PSG, they actually didn't use anything. Like, they're holding on to the only thing they used was Glacial Fissure, and they still have a lot of resets to come into the fight, where Frank are now kind of lacking in resources.
I mean, Juhan going in, trying to bait them out. The Moonlight Vigil comes through. Unified has to cleanse away, gets caught in the Event Horizon once again. As Bay takes the damage, Juhan goes in, but not enough energy. And Frank Esports will get away with their lives. PSG are the ones that pick up the Dragon, now heading towards that Herald as a 5-man unit.
I'm just kind of surprised that this is the game plan that Frank Esports has settled on. To me, it's just kind of clear that you just try to overpower on the Tryndamere, you know? I don't even think fighting 5v5 here is to their composition's strong point.
Yeah, Rebirth going in. It's after the Herald. Chaos Storm's down, the support's dead. Event Horizon again, the explosive cast beautiful. The Chaos Storm in the middle, but Bay just gets hit with the Primordial Burst. He survives though, and now that those ultis are down, Frank Esports look a lot weaker. Clement, I don't know what this game is. It's a low kill count, but Frank Esports are just like, we should fight after the objective every time, or before.
Yeah, I just don't know why Kurt isn't off split pushing. Like, if you looked at that 5v5, Kurt got one auto attack. Like, that was his contribution to the fight. Like, why even bother? It just seems so pointless to me.
He went Hull Breaker as well. Like, it's not doing much.
Yeah, so it's just so weird. Like, Rebirth is going in, but you can tell the team can't follow up. How are they going to go past the gravity field being thrown there? And just look at Kurt. He gets one auto off. And then he spins away.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I really don't know what Frank are trying to do with this comp. I'm trying to piece it out as the game goes on, but it looks like... Well, look at Frank. Look at Kurt. He got 67 damage off in that fight. Like, why is he there? Like, I just don't know why Tryndamere is there.
67 damage, dude. It's not even that much. There's no damage there. I don't know who he hit, but...
man. Just go farm.
Oh, God. Well, Frank, he's doing that for now. So that's a start. And you're right, a lot of questions about what Frank Esports want to do in this play, because for PSG, every time they come into them, Chaos Storm goes down, Kaiwing sets up for his ulti with a Glacial Fissure, Solar Flare burn. Rebirth wanted to pick, there's no objectives up for a couple of seconds, that meaning Baron, but at the very least tries to stop them. Unified has no summoners available, into the backline, Hollow's there, they've got the 80 carry, he's down. Frank Esports making the dive. Kurt now in once again, Clement. This time he's autoing as Eminem's hit on the backside by Juhan. It's all over the place. Under the turret they're defending, and Kurt now explosive cast of the wing as Pretender slows him down with the Event Horizon. But off the wing, Hanabi's there with the flash. The barrel down. On top of him, Bay helps out. And Hollow, meanwhile, going to get a bit of pressure himself as Kurt still has the ulti available, but he's stunned up. They go to Hollow in the meantime. And Frank Esports stuck around way too long for their business.
They get completely aced here. PSG with a good response, and they do have the teleport advantage from Hanabi. Not only is he getting the CS lead, he's showing up. He's absolutely unkillable at this point. Eminem finds himself underneath the tower, and once again, I just don't understand why Hullbreaker Tryndamere is getting played this way. It's just so mind-boggling to see. I never expected Frank Esports to play this as a 5-man burst comp. Like, that's just... What? What is happening here?
Well, you getting your mind blown as well. There was no smite for Juhan.
That was close. That was close.
That was close. Eminem would have gotten huge prep. Let's watch it. Oh my God, we're going back so far.
Yeah, Kaiwing does magically get to walk away from the event horizon. There is a small setup time there. And this was a good chase down. I think they could have gotten out just after the unified kill. That was probably enough here. You know, even Kurt goes full on in for the fight. They stay underneath the tower with Rebirth taking 2 shots and then aggro shifting over onto their main carries.
Like,
so,
what is going on?
Yeah, it could have been a very clean escape and just a 1+ on the 80 carry there from Frank Esports, but they decided to chase Juhan too, which I think really spelled their downfall there. It's completely unnecessary, and credit where credit is due. Hanabi and Juhan played that fight so well. They stuck onto all the targets. They had great shot calling on which target to continue to chase down, and they finish off everyone.
The core standing members of PSG, like, you know, Juhan gets praise, but Hanabi on this tank Gragas is playing a clinic right now. We've already talked about the CS differential against a Tryndamere. They can't do any wrong. PSG, 41,000 gold worth in the game, but the big thing is about the CS difference here. The gold difference as well. 7,000 in their lead. 4 turrets to 0. Not a singular turret picked up by Frank Esports. The only thing they've gotten is the Mountain Dragon. And as another turret goes down here, this Baron power play is moving closer to the 3K region for PSG.
Well, I guess you can take the Gragas out of Kurt, but you can't take the Kurt out of Gragas. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like he's playing Tryndamere like a Gragas, you know? He's always grouping with the team, trying to get first kills. It's just... like, I really want to know what Frank Esports and their strategy was for this game. It just feels... I feel like you're supposed to stretch the map thin, use your Predator advantage, use that Tryndamere side lane split pushing. They didn't really do it this game. And now I feel like the game is slipping away. 8,000
Pick on. Clement, I feel like if you're going to do it, just pick on.
And exactly.
Except that what the team's going to do. Now, you have more merit to criticize. You know, I'm coming in first day of PCS. More importantly, I am someone who doesn't hold the rank or the coaching merit. But I see how Kurt is, and I'd just love to see it on in future. We'll leave it for now. Baron's opened the base. That's 4,000 just about in the Baron power play. Event Horizon going to get Juhan here. Everfrost as well, but he safeguards out of the damage. And Hollow, he's not going to be looking for Hanabi. He wants Unified, but Unified is in safe hands right now.
Yeah, Hanabi is way too chunky right now, so Frank Esports, they're not even going to bother trying to take him down. Just going to leave him be at this point, and I feel like their game plan has shifted into just scaling for the Jinx and the Vigar. Vigar, again, is a pick you don't usually associate with scaling because we don't see him that much, but ever since his change to his stack mechanic where you can get 5 stacks out of cannon, he actually can scale up to pretty ridiculous heights, and one of his core items is actually the depth cap, which really works with him because he gets that extra AP with his passive. So, you know, I'm being very generous here, but I kind of think that's the only out from Frank Esports where they maybe can scale to a point and just one-shot someone.
Okay. Well, you did give me one condition, so I respect that. They're 9,000 gold at a disadvantage after the Baron power play. They're now against Soul Point. It is only a Cloud Soul, so again, a benefit for Frank Esports that it's not as one of the more ridiculous souls in League of Legends, but at 25 minutes, it's hard to see how this one ends anyway, but poorly for Frank. And Clement, Baron's going to be coming up in a minute 45 once again. PSG holding full control. They're pushing waves in. They've got an open inhibitor in the bottom lane. And they've got a Tryndamere who is struggling to push out these waves past the river.
Yeah, this Tryndamere has not been as impressive, honestly. And looking across the board here, I just can't believe base build. I feel like there's a point where there's just too much protection. Like you're up like 10,000 gold in the matchup. And you're just like, my mythic is proud of the Shattered Queen, and I gotta get the Zanyas in as well. You know, I just can't die. I'm like, you're not dying. Kurt's not even fed. Like, he doesn't even have a mythic completed. Okay, just build some more damage.
Safe, dude. He wants to be safe. He's got Lich Bait. He's gonna split push better than Kurt is.
That's true. That's true. I feel like Faye has always struck me as a player that's just like, I feel like he's so incredibly defensive. All of his Rise games are just pure tank Rises, and now you have the most defensive Victor I've ever seen. Well, I guess he's going to roll and coast to a very safe victory, though. So, yeah, you can't fault the man, but it's just like, it's kind of funny to see.
I mean, I guess he's going Void stuff.
That's true.
As his third. So, we're kind of shifting gear, and he's going to go for the explosion and, you know, get through any MR that's left there, get as close to true damage as possible. And so I'm curious about the damage here from the mid laner. I've been watching Pretender for a while, but I think Bay is a lot more impressive at this point. Look at PSG, still gripping around mid. Kurt's joining up. And he's not even touching bot, even after Vision's being cleared. He's just going to group. I mean, you need objective. Objective bounties came into the game for reasons like this. Hanabi, he's found Frank. He found Frank Esports. Rebirth in a bit of trouble. The rest of PSG are there. Body Slam forces the flash. Hollow running away. Objective bounties a bot. Clement, Frank Esports needs some gold.
Just trade. You're gonna get 800 gold for the team. You know, just Frank, just don't group, please. That play where Frank grouped. Oh no.
Kurt running away. Now he has a Kraken Slayer, by the way. Haven't seen that on a Trinity in quite a while. As Baron starts, and this is going to take everything from Frank Esports to come back.
All right, Holo, this is your chance. You get the Baron steal. You get 800 gold. Everyone tries to back out.
Oh, good Event Horizon. Kai Wing stunned up. It's the support who takes no damage. Juhan goes in the backline kick over the wall for Eminem. He's now separated as Kurt.
That's the
trying to hit Hanabi. But look at this. This Trinity doing no damage on the Gragas. Again, trying to team fight. Taking the damage himself. They're off the Baron. And Juhan does go down. But Clement, even with the jungler down, I'm not jumping to conclusions. I think they can 4v5.
That's true, but at the very least, Frank should be able to pick up an objective here. That's a huge amount of bounty over to one side, and they found Kai Wing.
Oh, Kai Wing walks in, flashes away from the Event Horizon. The bounty, you're right, will go down. It'll be massive, especially since minions get the bottom lane as well. Frank Esports suddenly just got 2,000 gold.
Yeah, they're roaring back into the game. Okay, roaring is probably a little bit too strong, but they're creeping back into relevance here. Only 7,000 gold down, and that was a great play from Pretender. The flashback, you know, just really brought Juhan into a super awkward position. I was kind of surprised that Juhan would try to chance for that play because he is the jungler. Like, once he's down, the rest of the team, even if they can win the 4v5, they're not going to be able to do the objective. So I felt like Juhan could play a little bit safer on that one. It was a small throw, but he's playing Lee Sin, so I think he gets a pass on that one. You always have to... You always like the players that have a bit of that Lee syndrome in them.
Yeah, you do. Spotted out here on the cheeky Baron with the top laner and AD. Unified will back away with Hanabi. And PSG, they're a 5-man call, but sitting on a ward. There is a lens in the inventory of Hanabi. Please press it. That ward is doing a lot for Frank Esports right now.
I guess not as much as we imagined, as the Super Mega Death Rocket just comes out way too early.
They're still scared, knowing that PSG moved past it and we're heading towards the Purple Worm. So for PSG, they'll just clear mid. We are at an absolute standstill. Kurt presses W, and it doesn't do too much. And after the minions go, once again, the Baron down.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, but since there's no TP on the top laner, Kurt is forced to be here. Like, I can sort of understand why he's here. But it's going to be very difficult for them to play this. Rebirth is just kind of caught in no man's land.
Yeah, he just Hex Flash for this. Ultimate used by Kai Wing. They want the support. And now that he doesn't have a flash, that's a quick pick for PSG. That goes over to Bay. And PSG now have a 5 versus 4, so an even easier Baron take if they want to threaten Frank Esports once again towards it.
Yeah, not a lot of options for Frank in that spot. What they were trying to do is to pull PSG out of that vision fog. And hopefully outplay them, but unfortunately for them, Rebirth just got caught at the worst possible time. Holo with some good mechanics, but can he make it into the pit? That's the question here.
Well, Pretender trying to burst down Juhan once again, though. Holo's on the rim, wants to take the blast gun. Hanabi can't stop it. He's in early, exhausted out as well. They get it. Juhan kicks away the Tryndamere as well as they try to take it down. Event Horizon stops him though. Pretender doing work, needs to smite it, gets it. A bit risky though as Pretender now gets Sonic Wave. Ulti's in, the Primordial Burst almost takes Juhan down. But eventually, PSG will do what they came here to do. Rebirth, respawns, and is about to re-die. Go back towards his exit. They get a kill. M&M has reset as well with the AoE, but Unified's there. Flashes forward with the ultimatum. Excuse me, it's pretty much that as M&M flashes as well. PSG, 3 Barons. The game once again at the palm of their hands.
Yeah, we did see the power of the Vygar coming in right there. Basically one-shotting Juhan out of nowhere. Really cool play from there, but no, this was just a tough spot for Frank. They're going into a Baron pit, no vision whatsoever. It's a 4v5, and I feel like they did pretty well given the circumstances right here. Somehow Kurt was able to divert a lot of attention away on the top side. You know, Holo goes in early. It's essentially a 3v5 that they do somewhat okay on. They get 2 kills back onto it. Still overall a pretty big win for PSG, but I think Frank really exceeded my expectations coming into this one.
Yeah. In a good way, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, good.
No sarcasm from me.
No, I was double checking because you're a sarcastic person. I was wondering. Well, are you taking the Mickey? I'm not even
All right,
sure.
the rebirth re-die was probably unnecessary here, but
they got Juhan. They took a Baron off, so I don't know.
I expected them to be completely wiped. I expected that to not even be close. So
okay.
yeah, I'll give them some points.
Yeah, do it, Clement. Don't worry.
Let's
9K
go,
gold
let's
lead. We're back. We're back here into live at 33 minutes. And then Horizon's been a pain as Pretender's been locking down Kaiwing. 2-man solo flip. Unified caught out, has the Gale Force out. Holo's right on top of him though, but he's surviving with a crescendo and the turret down. Holo's dying as into the resurrection. FaZe ulti helping out as well as Kurt right on top of him, but the Tryndamere now going to get stunned up. And you know what? Kurt hasn't had a great time. This guy, Unified, is back up and alive. The fact he took so long to dive is such a pain in Frank's behind.
Yeah, I guess Bay's build did pay off. Extra protection all the way.
There
Nothing that Tryndamere could do. GA's ununified as well.
Clement, PSG putting the finishing touches in the final game of the night. And PSG will move to 4-1. This is a final defense here from Pretender and the rest of Frank Esports, but even they can't stop this train of momentum. PSG cleaning them up in 34 minutes.
A very slow but methodical game coming in from PSG. You know, they clean house at 34 minutes into it. They honestly had a very big lead throughout the majority of the game, but I felt like they didn't really push any of the gas pedals. You know, they just kind of were willing to scale out and do things kind of the LCK way. And I'm not saying that's bad, but coming from someone that casts primarily LPL and the PCS, it definitely felt like something that was kind of weird to watch.
Yeah. Okay, you got there in the end.
Yeah, what I wanted to say, I feel like I have a lot of mixed feelings about this game, to be completely honest. I feel like for one instance, Frank didn't really play this game the way it was supposed to be played. Like, pulling Tryndamere across the map for one auto attack, this felt like the weirdest thing ever. Like, I have no idea what the hell Frank was doing. Like, sometimes as a top laner, you just have to tell the rest of your team, I'm not joining. I actually need to get fed. I need to win my lane matchup for my champion to do anything. Just please let me do my own thing. And he was like sitting on like 1.5 items until 30 minutes in the game.
I know.
It's so weird.
And the whole breaker build on the Tryndamere, but I don't think he's spent any time in the side lane at all. Like he matched waves, but like an Ornn would do, matching the pushed in wave. Okay, not really going to overshove, not going to add pressure on the side of the map. Yeah, I mean, perplexing. That's just like Tryndamere is such a big pick, so we need to pick it.
And that's why I feel like this game was actually really weird from PSG as well, because the game tempo was extremely slow. I feel like if Frank was playing the way they should have been playing, like more of a 4-1 rather than grouping up as 5 and constantly trying to catch people out, then PSG playing at this tempo would actually be a detriment. They would have been giving a lot of scaling potential over to the Tryndamere and the Vygar. So I just feel like this game was
was Clement. It wasn't great.
It was a game. It was a game, but Yeah, I do want to see PSG, kind of transfer that early game potential that they had. I think Juhan did a great job, a tremendous job at tracking Holo early, setting up all of that vision, and just getting all the objectives pretty much uncontested.
Yeah.
I just want to see them like kind of push the tempo a little bit more. To be fair, it wasn't even that long of a game. Like 33 minutes is still like shorter than a lot of average game times. It's shorter than LCK game time, by the way. So it wasn't that slow of a game, but it just felt like with their lead, they maybe could have closed things up a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and again, like kind of highlighting the best parts of the game is when Juhan kind of took over control of the jungle early on. The first 10-15 minutes were 10-15 CS difference because Juhan and the rest of PSG were prioritizing vision. The river lit up like a Christmas tree. It all stemmed from control of PSG, and we saw one kill, but great macro from this team that decided, okay, bot lane we're going to hyper commit. Aphelios gets first turret blood. Then down up in the top side when Kurt decides to play 5v4 over, what was it, a dragon, I think?
Yeah,
and
they traded
Unified just gets turret top.
Yeah, or full turret, which was kind of baffling.
Not worth. Yeah. Definitely not worth. So
I feel like Frank is experimenting. Like they want to play a 4-1 style, but they don't have the reflexes. I think Frank is still soul searching. He's got the name down, but not the contents of his character just yet.
Okay. Well, it's definitely no Edward then, is what you're telling me. Got to get higher in the alphabet for that one. So, for Frank Esports going down to 1-4. Just a side note here. Today, we saw Hurricane Gaming picking up their first win. I'm just going to do a quick old refresh. Hurricane Gaming... trying to work out, Clement, how this works. Frank Esports, or they're tied. They're tied because I was going to say you guys don't have game differential. No, because they are all games.
Yeah, they're not serious. Just best of ones.
They're all best of ones. I got to remember that. So for Frank Esports and Hurricane Gaming, now tied after the big win from Hurricane earlier on. Impunity alongside with them, which means Sem9 are going to be the only team sitting at 10th for the time being. So PSG Talon, other big news there, Clement, is that they're now 4-1. They moved past J-Team, who took a loss earlier today to CDBC Flying Oyster. Our top three cemented for the time being until we run into tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's good to see PSG back where they belong. This is... we had a lot of questions going to this game. Honestly, after their first 4 games, we weren't really sure what to make of this team because there are 3 opponents that they did win where they were kind of expected to win just based off of experience. And I guess against Frank Esports, I feel like we saw a couple things that have continued from the previous games. Incredibly strong macro, very risk-averse play for the most part coming out for PSG, and more of a focus on just playing this sort of a team fight style. I will say in this game, we still didn't see much of a team fight, if I'm being completely honest. I feel like they were just cleaning up Frank Esports after like really risky dives. So we still don't know what they're going to look like if they go up against, I think, a team like J-Team that probably has a little bit more chops in dancing around their carries and where to position their front line. They don't really have to face another team fight composition. And that's what I want to see in the next couple of games. Like what will PSG look like when they have to play more of a traditional 5v5?
Well, with Bay here as MVP for now, we'll celebrate the win. Surprising to see this MVP go over, but still a very good scoreline. It feels like Juhan, with his control in the early game, made this happen, where Bay was untouched and just got to play pressing R all game.
Yeah, we didn't see much of a CS lead in the lane itself, but credit where credit is due. He was stayed incredibly safe, and I feel like the build with Crown of the Shattered Queen was actually genius against Vigar. Vigar does want to one-shot burst you down, and with Shattered Queen, that's not really possible as you have a massive amount of damage reduction. So good build, played safe throughout, and was just a steady backbone there to make sure the composition worked.
Kind of crazy that he's got the PCS tattooed on his forearm there, Clement, as well. So
that shows dedication.
That's real, folks. That's completely real. Who knew? Bay with an outstanding game. Congratulations on the MVP. Coming over from Nongshim, again, it's a big split for him. It's a big time for him to start proving himself as we look over today's results. Mr. Chu, don't worry about the blue side. We evened it up today, okay?
Hey,
not always about that blue side anymore.
Yeah, red side just finding some punches in there. I will say, just looking at the drafts, it still feels very blue side favorite just because of all the Zeri bans, the Renekton bans still being there, and blue side having that go-to. There's basically only one tier for the top of junglers, and that's Xin Zhao. So the drafting has been incredibly easy. Blue side basically gets to dictate whether they want to go Gwen first or if they want to go Xin Zhao first. They can set up traps very, very easily, while red side does have their pick of the 80 carries. That seems to be how the drafting is going. And going on to the team standings, I'm very happy that we have two new organizations now taking over the top spots. Goodbye, PSG. Goodbye, Beyond Gaming. But for now, it's going to be Flying Oyster and Deep Cross Gaming. Not really goodbye, but
PSG Talon, like,
aside.
they're one step below. Goodbye,
true, that's true.
PSG Talon are now trash, says Clement Chu.
No.
Absolute garbage. That's what you're saying?
Oh my god, you sound like mainstream media these days. I'm just saying that they're moving aside for now, and we have the new teams. Okay.
Of course, I just messing with you. Of course, yeah. PSG Talon, with their one loss, but Deep Cross Gaming and Flying Oyster. You know what? Tomorrow that's going to be resolved, because tomorrow, as I'm sure we'll see very shortly, we have the creme de la creme of matchups to round us out. Because I'm not going to be here tomorrow, Clement, but it is a Sunday, and that means all Sundays always round out the week. CWC, Flying Oyster, and Deep Cross Gaming have been pretty stellar. We saw Deep Cross Gaming today. It was all but that second game where we had a lot of questions, but they rounded it out, and from a macro sense, they still look pretty good. I'm going to wait for this to pop up, because tomorrow's last game, there you go. Ooh. They're going to burst it out, and we are going to get the best team in the league, for the time being, sorted out at the end of week 2.
And there's so many storylines that are coursing through that matchup. Mission taking the spot away from Nesty does have to hurt there, and I want to see if he's going to get a little bit of revenge there. How are they going to fare against the most lane-dominant team in CFO that are up by about 4,000 gold at 15 minutes? Can DCG and their cheese strategy overcome that sort of an advantage here? It really is just, I think, raw strength coming in from Flying Oysters and ingenuity coming in from Deep Cross Gaming.
Because the ingenuity is fun to watch draft-wise, but it almost backfired them on here today as they went up against Beyond Gaming. We also know that Hurricane Gaming have built up their first win. Can they do it against Frank Esports after what we've just seen? I'm actually going to point towards yes, because I feel like that team is on the up and up. More importantly, J-Team and Beyond Gaming is going to be another exciting one as well, Clement.
Yeah, that one is absolutely huge, too. J-Team, a lot of teams have high hopes for this squad. Yep. We did have Glenn that went over to TSM say J-Team is going to win the PCS in spring. Oh. Not sure if that's going to be the case right now, but it is something to look forward to. I do want to see how Uniboy and Kongyue can finally live up to their potential and take over against Minji and Husha.
Yeah, because Minji today, we saw the Zoe. Just don't give him that, and then everything else will be fine. So
he has that and Akali. What else?
I don't know, man. But either way, look, a big thank you, Clement Chu. It was a pleasure to broadcast with you once again. I'm looking forward to doing more of it here in the PCS. I'm glad to be on board of the team. Thank you to our English production. It is an absolute pleasure to be working with them as well. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. It is bye for now, but not forever. I'll see you next time on the PCS. We'll see you tomorrow.